Well, hey everybody, it's me, Jermaine, and I'm back with another episode of the Morning Thoughts. I have my regular cup of coffee, and I'd like to welcome you into this verbal cup of morning coffee, which we call the Morning Thoughts. Well, it's been a while since I've done a Morning Thoughts, but this is a very special Morning Thoughts because I'm on the road and I'm coming back from having had the opportunity to celebrate the Most High, the creator of the universe, last feast of the year, which is called Tabernacles. And I just want to share with you how wonderful the time was. It's been said by many people. It's been said by my pastor, Pastor Dow. It's been said by one of my elders, Elder Austin, and many others, how this was one of the most beautiful and warm, as far as spiritually, feast and let me say, a bringing together, a close knitting of saints that they had ever experienced. And I have to say it was also an additional blessing because I have honored the Most High's feast for almost 4 years now, going on 5 years, and this was the first opportunity that I had to be able to tabernacle on the land where the Most High placed His hand and placed His people, and as well His Spirit. It was, I will say again, a wonderful time had by all. And during that tabernacling, we fellowshiped for 7 straight days, plus the 8th day, the great day. And during that time, there is praise, there is worship, there is Torah reading, there is word given by the men of Yah, and there are drinks that are had, whether it be beer, whether it be wine, or whether it be strong drink. Now I know I'm going to have people that are on my channel that will see this and they will say, what? How can you do anything, as they would say, of God and have alcohol involved? Well, that just goes to show you that if you even have it in your mind, or by having it in your mind, you form your lips to say such a thing, that really proves that you do not know the word. You do not know the true meaning behind the Most High's feast. And so that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get into that. I want to continue to share my testimony on this episode of the Morning Thoughts of how wonderful it was to tabernacle with the Most High's people. There was no murmuring. There was no complaining. We had good weather for a good amount of time, but we did have a lot of rain. It was something that was not normal, as much rain as was had. Not the fact that there was rain, period, but the fact of how much rain there was. But in all of that, there was still unity, there was still camaraderie, and there was no murmuring or complaining. Now, if you were to have an event like this in the world, where people were to get together, and there would be those things that I said, beer, wine, strong drink, I've never, even when I was out there, I've never seen a time had where there was not some form of contention, argument, or even just downright fighting when those three elements were involved. But I'm honored to say, and I'm pleased to say, that none of those things happened. And the reason why was because within all of that, number one, people knew their limits. They followed the book when it came to the intake of any one of those three, or all of them. They knew their limits. And number two, and most importantly, should have been number one, the Most High was in the midst, and his spirit was there. And because his spirit was there was no problems whatsoever. So with that, I want you to understand and want you to realize that what are you honoring? If you're like most people in this country, you're getting ready to go into your time. They've got, let me say, now I'm not going to say we because I'm not involved in it. They've got Halloween coming. They've got Thanksgiving coming. They've got Christmas coming. And they've got their New Year coming. Those 4 celebrations, as they would call it. Well, let's look at that real quickly. The first one is celebrating death and everything that has to do with death. The second is the celebration of, just in the name, thanks for giving us everything that we wanted to take from you after we befriended you and then slaughtered you. And then number 3, the false celebration of the birth of Christ. Look behind what I'm saying, look into what I'm saying, and find out if it's not true. That's not the time in which Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, that wasn't the time in which he was born. But again, if you don't believe me, be at peace. But if I have sparked some interest somewhere, go and check it out. As my pastor always says, check it out. Find out if what I'm saying is true or not true, but I guarantee you it is definitely true. And last but not least, they'll celebrate the beginning of their new year. And the reason why I say their new year, for those of us that are obedient to the Most High Yah, to the creator of the universe, he has appointed times and seasons. And when he appoints them, no one else can change them. I'm not saying no one else has changed them, but if he hasn't changed them, in my opinion, and by following the book, it is not changed. So, I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of the Morning Thoughts. I appreciate you taking out the time to share just a moment with me. And I hope something that I've said to you today will give you the opportunity to say, I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on another episode of the Morning Thoughts real soon.